You wake up early. Not because an alarm goes off, not because someone needs you, but because sleep doesn't stay with you the way it used to. It visits for a few hours and then quietly leaves, like a guest who never stays for breakfast. So you lie there, eyes open, staring at the ceiling, just listening. The house is so quiet now, so completely, unbearably quiet. But in that silence, if you close your eyes, you can still hear it. The old version of this house. A child crying at 2 a.m., footsteps running down the hallway, a door slamming too hard. Your own voice calling out, "Dinner's ready." That house was loud, messy, exhausting. You used to dream about silence back then. Now silence is all you have. And it's nothing like you imagined. You sit at the edge of the bed for a moment before standing, not because you're tired, just because you've learned not to rush anymore. The body asks for patience now. And after 80 years, you've finally learned how to give it. You walk slowly to the kitchen, and the floor creaks beneath your feet. That same creak, in that same spot, for the last 30 years. It used to wake the kids when they were small. You'd hear tiny footsteps padding down the hall right after, a sleepy face appearing at the door. "Can't sleep, Papa?" You'd send them back to bed with a gentle nudge. You'd give anything to hear that now. You fill the kettle, stand at the window while you wait. The neighborhood is just beginning to wake up. A dog barks somewhere. A car pulls out of a driveway. The streetlights are still on, competing with the first gray light of morning. The kettle whistles. You make your tea. 1 cup. It used to be 4. 1 for you, 1 for your wife, 1 for whoever was visiting, 1 for the neighbor, who always seemed to arrive just as the tea was ready. 1 cup now. You carry it to the table and sit down. Your phone sits beside the cup. A smartphone, one of the kids set it up 2 years ago, showed you how to video call, added you to a family group chat that moves so fast you can never keep up with it. You glance at it now. Maybe today someone will call. Maybe your son, between meetings. Maybe your daughter on her commute. Maybe one of the grandkids who you barely recognize anymore because they grow so fast and visits are so rare. You don't need long. You know everyone is busy. You understand that you were busy once too. 30 years of 6 a.m. mornings and late nights and missed school plays and postponed anniversaries. You understand busy. You just need a few minutes. Just one voice asking, "How are you doing, really?" Not the quick version, the real version, but the phone stays silent. So you drink your tea and you wait. And here is the thing no one sees when they look at you. When they see an old person moving slowly, speaking carefully, needing help with the phone settings, they see someone fading. They don't see what's actually there. Inside your head right now is a library. Thousands of stories. Experiences that no one else on earth has lived exactly the way you did. You remember the year of the big flood, how the whole street came together, strangers carrying furniture for neighbors they'd never spoken to, what real community felt like from the inside. You remember the day your first child was born, the exact weight of that moment, the way time seemed to stop and restart at the same time. The fear and the love arriving together, and the terrifying realization that nothing would ever be the same again. You remember the job you worked for 40 years, the colleagues who became family, the ones who betrayed you, the quiet pride of doing honest work for decades. You remember the mistakes too, the ones that still surface at 3 a.m. when sleep has already left. The harsh words you never took back, the people you should have loved better while you had the chance. You carry all of it, every single day. And there is no one sitting across the table anymore to share it with. Sometimes the family visits, and for a few hours, the house becomes itself again. Grandchildren running through the hallway, doing exactly what their parents did 30 years ago. The smell of food. Multiple conversations happening at once. Noise. Beautiful, wonderful noise. You sit in your chair and just absorb it. But then, you notice something. Everyone is talking. But no one is talking to you. Not really. There are check-ins. How are you feeling? A hug. Someone asking if you need anything. But it's efficient. Caring. Yes. but efficient. Like a task being completed rather than a conversation being had. So you try. You wait for an opening, you lean forward, and you start. You know, when I was your age, something similar happened and I learned something important about it. But before you can finish the sentence, someone's phone buzzes loudly on the table. Someone else laughs at something on a screen. A child calls from the other room, and two people get up at once. The moment is gone. And you lean back in your chair and you smile. Because what else can you do? But inside, something quietly aches. It is a very specific kind of loneliness. Not the loneliness of being alone. You've made a kind of peace with the empty house. This is the loneliness of being present and invisible at the same time. Of being in a room full of people who love you and still feeling like you're behind glass. Like you're already a photograph on the wall rather than a person at the table. The world has simply moved to a frequency you can't quite tune into anymore. Everything is fast now. Short. Instant. People communicate in reactions and short videos and voice notes that are never longer than 30 seconds. And you have 80 years of things to say. There is no format for that anymore. But here's what no one stops to think about. The things you know, you didn't read them in a book or learn them in a course. You paid for them with actual years of your life. You know what a real financial crisis feels like from the inside. Not from a headline, but from skipping meals and lying awake doing math in your head. You know what it means to commit to something for decades, a marriage, a job, a family, not because it was always easy, but because you decided it was worth it. You know what grief looks like at every age. As a child losing a parent, as a middle-aged person losing a partner, as an old person watching everyone you grew up with, one by one, disappear. You know things about patience and failure and starting over and what actually matters when everything else is stripped away, that no algorithm can teach, that no productivity hack can replace, that can only be passed from one human being to another across a table in a real conversation. And that knowledge is sitting right here, waiting. In the afternoon, you move to the window. It's your favorite spot now. You've watched the whole neighborhood change from this chair. Houses painted and repainted, children growing up and moving away, new families moving in and starting the whole cycle again. You watch a young man walk past, head down, earphones in, moving fast. You recognize something in him, that forward lean, that sense of urgency, that absolute certainty that there is somewhere important to be and not enough time to get there. You were him once. You spent decades moving exactly like that, building, providing, achieving. And it was good. You don't regret it. You just wish someone had told you, even once, to look up, to slow down long enough to notice the ordinary moments that you would one day miss more than anything extraordinary. The Tuesday evening dinners, the Sunday mornings with nowhere to be, the unremarkable Wednesday when everyone was home and healthy and together and didn't even know how rare that was. You want to walk outside and tell him, but you don't, because you know he wouldn't stop, because you never would have stopped either. And that's the truth people don't want to say out loud. Growing old doesn't scare you. Not really. You've had a full life. You've loved people deeply. You've survived things you didn't think you could survive. What scares you is something quieter. It's the thought that everything you carry, every story, every lesson, every hard-won piece of wisdom, will simply end with you, that the library inside your head will close without ever being read, that you will become, gradually, a photograph, then a name on a document somewhere, then nothing at all. Not because anyone is cruel, not because your family doesn't love you, but simply because no one made the time to sit down and ask, and you never found a way to make them. Somewhere near you right now, there is someone like this. An elderly parent, a grandparent, a neighbor who waves from the porch, someone who built things so you wouldn't have to build them from scratch. Someone who survived things so hard they became the foundation your comfort is built on. Someone who still has everything to say, but the world is moving too fast to hear them. So here is all I'm asking. Not a grand gesture, not a scheduled visit with a calendar reminder. Just this. Put the phone down, pull up a chair, and ask them something real. about their life, about what they remember, about what they wish they'd known, and then just listen. Because one day, sooner than any of us want to believe, the chair will be empty, the stories will be gone. And you will realize, too late, that the most irreplaceable thing in your life was never a moment you photographed or a milestone you posted about. It was a conversation you kept meaning to have. Don't wait.